Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and check this out. This is coinpaprika.com we're looking at. Wanted to give you an update on the pricing. It looks like for the last 24 hours, Theta, on my list that is, Theta and Quant and Cardano have done the best for the last 24 hours. And if you look at let's look at the last 7 days. Last 7 days, Theta, Ethereum, and Cardano. Cardano has not been going crazy the last few weeks, but that's one that I've been accumulating some. Everything on this list for the last 2 months, everything on this list except Bitcoin, I've been accumulating at different times. Okay, wanted to show you this because one of the biggest questions I get about Link2 is about how you are or are not accredited. And so they did a video on it, and I want to show you part of this. Watch this.
4. Let's start with the United States and Canada, who both have very similar accreditation requirements. If you live in the US or Canada, you qualify as an accredited investor if you meet specific income, wealth, or professional requirements. And you only need to meet one of these to be considered accredited. You are an accredited investor if you are an individual whose income exceeds $200,000 in each of the 2 most recent years, or $300,000 in joint income with a person's spouse. And you reasonably have to expect to reach the same level of income in the current year. Next, the wealth requirement. If you are an individual whose net worth exceeds $1 million, excluding the value of your primary residence, you are accredited. And finally, if you are a FINRA registered representative and hold a Series 7, 65, or 82, you meet accreditation status. Outside of individual.
Okay, so that's I think 90% of my audience is US or Canada. So that's how it applies there. Now, watch the rest of the video and you can find out, or you can go to their website. I think they have like a section on the whole thing. But what's important to understand though is that you don't have to be accredited in the United States if you're outside the United States. If you're in Europe, you have to go by your country's accreditation standards, okay? And so you can talk to the guys at Link2 about all of that. The link to the description for the Link2 link will be in the top of the description, and always click on that link to go there so that they know who you are. Okay. I think that this is a tweet that Stefan Huber did about accreditation here. SEC and the NASAA agree accredited investors should put at least $10 million should have at least $10 million in assets. People with less assets should lose status and not be allowed to invest in startups and crypto. That is too dangerous for them, land of the free. And he's got all these screenshots. Well, I made a comment on this. I think Gary Gensler's ultimate goal was to call all digital assets except Bitcoin and Ethereum securities. They would then allow retail to play in this sandbox. Then he would increase the accredited investor threshold to 10 million, which you would need to invest in all others. That's how they play the game, folks. These people are dirty. Now, speaking of dirty, the truth is always more powerful than a well-crafted lie. That's why yesterday, when our government tried to lie to us and tell us we're not in a recession, I decided to illustrate the absurdity. I should put their voice, this is Janet Yellen, I should put their voice over the top and let you stare at the truth while they lie.
President Biden has said we've entered a new phase in our recovery, focused on achieving steady, stable growth without sacrificing the gains of the last 18 months.
That's look, if you're gonna lie, then we're gonna make you look like the buffoons that you deserve to be. Okay, this is Emi Yoshikawa. Now, she's Ripple's representative in Japan, is my understanding. And I don't know if Brad Garlinghouse is in Japan or if she came back to the States. But you can see Brad Garlinghouse here, and there's David Schwartz right there. And she's having a glass of wine right there beside Brad Garlinghouse. We don't get to see pictures floating around like this very often. Now, this came out yesterday afternoon, or yesterday evening. And you all thought this day would never come. In all seriousness, looking forward to a lively discussion with 2-Bit Idiot, who's Ryan Selkis, at MainNet to talk about substantive issues and positive solutions for crypto at large. Thanks, Masari Crypto, for inviting me. Folks, this looked to me, when I saw this, the first word that popped in my mind is capitulation. We've spent the last year finding facts, video, putting a timeline together of all the bad guys who have spent the last 10 years with FUD and you name it against Ripple and XRP. And a lot of these people involved in this are the same freaking people, okay? This guy being one of them. And I'm glad that these people, and look, there's Christine Moy, who we'll get to in a minute. She is the one that set up the JP Morgan blockchain. She is the one that was working with Joseph Lubin at Consensus, okay? She's the one that was on stage with Joseph Lubin when he said that JP Morgan was working with them even before they launched the Ethereum mainnet, okay? But this guy is no damn good, folks, and I said it here. Years of intentional, coordinated FUD against Ripple and XRP. I'm not jumping on board the unblock me. There's a lot of people going around asking for Ryan. Some of them are being sarcastic, but asking for him to unblock them. This guy, and I said, this guy's just not a good guy, and he's not changing his stripes. He tweeted out yesterday, some news, Brad Garlinghouse and I will do a fireside chat at MainNet 2022. I couldn't believe it when my programming team told me, but alas, it is true. Get your popcorn ready. Now, this guy blocked me, as I recall. It was because, now remember, Ryan Selkis is one of the main ones for years now. Oh, Ripple holds a lot of that XRP, and even though Ripple's showing you what they hold, but this guy will never, and never has, questioned, well, what does Joseph Lubin hold? What does Consensus hold? And you remember the clip with Brad Garlinghouse and Joseph Lubin. Joseph Lubin's trying to say, oh, well, don't you sell a lot of your XRP? And Brad Garlinghouse says, well, how much of yours do you sell? And Joseph Lubin wouldn't tell anybody how much they have or how much they sell or anything else. So Ryan Selkis is all critical, and has been, of Ripple. You own a lot of XRP, but he's never, ever pointed that finger at Consensus or the Ethereum Foundation or any of them. And it's because they're on the same freaking team, folks. This guy is not a good guy, and nobody's going to change my mind on that. Speaking of guys that aren't a good guy, this is Consensus CEO Joseph Lubin. The SEC isn't hurting crypto innovation. And this is my kind of call to arms to all these people that are all of a sudden wanting to, are tired of the SEC. As the crypto industry finally awakens to the fact that the SEC is coming for all of crypto, they need to start asking why this guy is so happy with the job the SEC is doing. And that's the fact jack. Now, back to Christine Moy. I woke up this morning and I was looking through some old video on YouTube, and I came across this one. And this is Christine Moy. At the time, she was with JP Morgan. She's not now. But I ask again, who were the disguised whales in the Ethereum ICO?
Telling that all of our projects are, on an Ethereum variant, as an example. That's intentional. And I think that as a bank, but many did not agree with that approach early on, but now it's sort of playing through as being relevant.
That's intentional, that everything they're doing is on Ethereum. Okay? And then there's this. Now remember, Senator Toomey and all these congressmen, we need Patrick McHenry, we need stablecoin legislation. Nothing can happen in this industry till we get stablecoin legislation. Well, guess what, Congressman? Guess what, SEC? JP Morgan's flipping the bird at all of you meanwhile, because they've got their own US dollar stablecoin, and they didn't even need any of you to pass legislation. Listen to what she says here.
Yeah. Christina and Naveen, I might get you into trouble a little bit, but do you ever egg your boss on and remind him of that infamous quote he said about Bitcoin? And it stirred up a lot of people at the time. And then just to see in such a short amount of time, the advancements in blockchain?
Well, I mean, first of all, if I might add, Jamie has always loved the blockchain. I think...
Yeah, he's always loved the blockchain. He just lied about it for about a year or two while he was behind the scenes developing on Ethereum.
At one point in time, he publicly said, God bless the blockchain. I definitely believe in the blockchain. So, he's always been a staunch supporter of us through the entire program. And in fact... that's the reason why we were able to launch JP Morgan Coin. JP Morgan Coin is basically US dollars on blockchain.
Now, folks, JP Morgan Coin, my understanding, it's built on Ethereum. It's a USD stable coin. Gary Gensler has said nothing about it. And so I said, when lawsuit, Gary Gensler? When's the lawsuit against them going to happen? They've got a stable coin. It's built on Ethereum. You just sued and said the insider traders at Coinbase, and you said there was a lot of different coins that were built on Ethereum that you said are securities. This could be a security. You need to investigate JP Morgan. I won't hold my breath. Now, while JP Morgan is perfectly comfortable with their stable coin, and they don't need to talk to the SEC, they don't need to talk to Congress, they don't need any legislation. This is what Ashish Birla from Ripple is saying.
The government seems to be also waking up to this notion that, hey, listen, we need to get moving here on creating proper regulation. There's also a lot of regulation, at least talk, around the stablecoin aspect of it. And how great would it be if every bank in the United States issued a stablecoin on a blockchain? Now that would connect it to real world society and solve real world problems. But that stablecoin regulation needs to pass, it needs to get adopted, and it needs to be well written, just like the Telecommunication Act was written in the 1960s that helped the internet flourish.
JP Morgan
I'm excited.
Ashish, JP Morgan does not need legislation. They've already got theirs out there, and nobody's stopping them.
Participate in it, excited to help guide it. I think it needs to happen. I think more of it needs to happen.
Sorry, got interrupted by a phone call. Let's continue.
Funded banking system. That is super important because through SWIFT, the US and the West has basically had a system in place. If you don't do what we want, Iran or North Korea, you won't have access to the international banking system. People won't bank with you. Well, that is becoming less and less powerful, partly through the digital yuan and partly through other innovations where people are just going around SWIFT because it's slow and inaccurate in all those ways that Monica and Christina are about to talk about in bringing payments out of the digital era. But this is a really key point because Ripple is really at the cutting edge of this. So you guys should all be really proud to work here. 75% of big global banks, especially US ones, are pulling out of the international correspondent bank.
Wow. Okay. Ripple put out their markets report yesterday, and I wanted to show you this. I think is important. Ripple has been a buyer of XRP in the secondary market and expects to continue to undertake purchases at future market prices as ODL continues to gain global momentum. Now, folks, at some point, this is something a lot of people don't think about. At some point, if XRP is going to be used on a global basis and be needed to move money around the world, at some point, I just have this feeling we're not going to be able to get it, not retail. I could be wrong, but I just feel like that's where this is going. Library tweeted this out. This is great. Our opening offer for a settlement is the complete abolition of the SEC and 10 years in jail for Gary Gensler. If we lived in a country of laws, that would be more like what they would get. And then J.W. Verrett, who was one on the investment advisor committee, whatever they call it over at the SEC, says, I have an op-ed placed in the Wall Street Journal next week that destroys Gary Gensler's investigation against Coinbase. Get ready. That guy, he's been taking shots for a while. And here's a little clip of Hester Pierce, who does nothing but talk. She could blow the whistle on these people at the SEC anytime. She could she could even do it anonymously if you need an idea there, Hester Pierce. But she hasn't done anything but talk and play the good cop. But at some point that runs out because we now have a crypto mom from the CFTC.
Existing regulatory framework and whether we need to make changes. But I think there's also been in Washington a bit of a desire to see crypto just disappear. And I think people are realizing that that's not likely to happen. So maybe that will help people to think about where regulation is appropriate. But as you said, I mean, we have to bear in mind that people should be free to engage in transactions when both sides are willing to engage in that transaction. And so there needs to be a good reason for a regulator to step in the middle of that.
Right, balancing free trade.
Yep. Okay, that's all that I want to hear. Now, there was a whale alert, or several of them, if you go down here. 43 million XRP transferred from FTX to unknown wallet. 60 million XRP transferred from unknown wallet to Bitso. And then down here, 64 million XRP transferred from Bitstamp to unknown wallet. 60 million XRP transferred from unknown wallet to Bitstamp. So a lot of XRP moving around there. Now, I wanted to draw your attention to this because this is something. I saw this tweet this morning. It's Aave, and they're commenting on regulation and how their CEO's on this regulatory podcast or whatever. And it says just as many regulators and policymakers have come to resignation that crypto is here to stay. Over the last year, the crypto industry has been proactively lobbying and speaking with policymakers. Well, second I saw this out of Aave, it reminded me of this. Remember when Rosalind Layton wrote this, it's time to end the SEC's clarity charade on crypto. And then she said, follow the money. Why was Ethereum blessed while its rival Ripple was sued? Why does Coinbase get a Wells notice while crypto lenders like Aave, built on Ethereum platform, get a pass? See, I think that there's something to this, folks. So, and then I went and screenshot. This is a screenshot of Aave's website. Earn interest, borrow assets, and build applications. Well, Gary Gensler specifically said that this is a security. Earning interest or borrowing, that's a security. So my question is, where is Gary? Why aren't you, and I want to know, is he now handing out another free pass to a lending platform? Because he said that they're all securities, and he hasn't done jack squat to Aave. What's that about? I don't understand. Anything that involves Ethereum lending, from what I can tell, and I wanted to bring this to your attention too, because Cowboy Crypto brought it up. Of course, Aave gets a pass. Their investor Coined was funded by Alibaba and Goldman Sachs. Look at that, okay? Alibaba, Goldman Sachs, and then let's look over here. Initial coin offering, look at that. Three Arrows Capital shows up. Folks, you smelling the buzzard circling around the nasty dead carcass like I am? This thing stinks to high heaven, and it has for over a year. That's why I did a whistleblower alert for Gary. Just wanted to make sure he sees this, because he said this kind of stuff was a security, and he's dying to protect all of us from ourselves, right? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family to follow the money. Thanks for listening.